The 90s. It wasn't just a decade, it was a time of cassette tapes and pop culture icons that seemed eternal. On screen, a generation of actresses shaped our dreams and desires. They were the faces on our walls, the girls next door, the queens of the ball, and the rebels. But what happens when the decade ends and the cameras stop rolling? What happens when an iconic role becomes a gilded cage? The pressure to freeze in time to maintain that perfection is incredibly brutal. Some have fought to escape the shadow of their own image. Others quietly stepped away from the spotlight to search for a deeper meaning. Today, we're not just looking back at where they were. We'll explore who they've become. These are incredible stories of evolution, of the true cost of fame, and of the journey to rediscover oneself after the world has already decided who you are. Before we begin, a question for you. Do you think the pressure to maintain perfection in Hollywood is more brutal than in any other profession? Comment 1 if you agree, or 0 if you think it's similar to other industries. Enjoy the video and don't forget to like, share, and leave a sub in support. Now let's dive into the story. When we talk about the 90s, there's a smile that almost synonymous with the era itself. It's the smile of Kelly Kapowski. Tiffany Amber Thiessen didn't just play a role, she was the idealized image. In Saved by the Bell, she was the perfect balance of beauty, intelligence, and kindness. Every girl wanted to be her and every guy wanted to date her. She was the sun around which the Bayside High universe revolved, an icon of flawless teenage perfection. But what Tiffany did next truly defined her career. She did something almost unthinkable at the time she broke her perfect image. She joined Beverly Hills 90210 as Valerie Malone, a character who was the complete opposite. Valerie was alluring, dangerous, and full of schemes. It was a shock to the audience. The girl next door was gone, replaced by a complex troublemaker who brought a much-needed edge to the show. It was an incredibly smart move, proving that she had more than just a dazzling smile. She showed she had acting range. However, the trap of teen television was a hard one to escape. After 90210 ended, Tiffany faced a tough question. How do you grow up when the entire world still sees you as a high school girl? She took on TV shows guest roles, but it seemed Hollywood didn't know what to do with a woman who had once been the biggest teen icon. The spotlight faded as it often does. She didn't disappear in a scandal. She simply began to live her life quietly. And that was when the true reinvention began. Instead of desperately clinging to fame, Tiffany quietly built a new empire, one that had nothing to do with scripts or red carpets. She returned to her true passion, food. In 2015, she launched Dinner at Tiffany's on the Cooking Channel. Suddenly, Kelly Kapowski was cooking for her famous friends in a cozy kitchen filled with laughter. The show was a big hit because it was real. She wasn't playing a chef, she was an enthusiast of cooking. Today, Tiffany Amber Thiessen is a best-selling cookbook author, a lifestyle blogger, and a devoted mother. She swapped the chaos of auditions for the peace of her own backyard garden. She still shines, but it's a different kind of light, one that comes from confidence, fulfillment, and having complete control over her own story. She proved that the greatest success isn't always being at the top, but building a life that you truly love. The girl who once ruled the school halls has now become the master of a well-crafted life. By the late 90s, a television show captured the anxiety, romance, and profound confusion of adolescence in a way no show had before. That show was Felicity, and at its heart, was Carrie Russell with her iconic curly hair and quiet sensitivity that made her the voice of a generation. She played Felicity Porter, a young woman who follows a guy to New York and ends up finding herself. We watched her struggle with love with art and with the big question, who will I become? Before she was, Felicity Carey was a familiar face on the all-new Mickey Mouse Club, dancing and singing alongside future superstars like Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, and Christina Aguilera. It was that early discipline and professionalism that laid the foundation for her, but it was Felicity that turned her into a star. And then she did something no icon dared to do. She changed. Between seasons, Carrie Russell cut off her long, curly hair. Today, that may seem trivial, but in 1999, it was a cultural earthquake. The haircut sparked nationwide controversy, with rumors swirling that it caused a drop in viewership. For Carrie, it was her first harsh lesson in public ownership. The audience didn't just love Felicity. They felt they owned her and her hair. When Felicity ended in 2002, Carrie Russell did something even more drastic. She nearly disappeared from Hollywood. She moved to New York, where she steered clear of blockbuster films and returned to the basics. She took part in off-Broadway plays, starred in small indie films that few people saw. She got married, had children, and lived a quiet, purposeful life. It wasn't an exile, it was a choice. She was refusing to be defined by a role, no matter how beloved it was. She was honing her craft in the shadows. Then in 2013, she made her return. That return was The Americans. This wasn't Felicity Porter. This was Elizabeth Jennings, a ruthless, complex KGB spy living secretly in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. The role was a revelation. Carrie Russell completely transformed. The vulnerability was replaced by steel. She was cold, dangerous, but also deeply human. Over 6 seasons, she delivered one of the most critically acclaimed performances in television history, earning multiple Emmy nominations. Today, Carrie Russell is one of the most respected actresses in the industry. She continues her role in The Diplomat on Netflix, a smart political thriller where she once again plays a powerful, complex woman navigating a world full of danger. She has come full circle. The girl who once sought purpose in life has now become a woman who commands her own purpose. Carrie Russell has proven that silence isn't the end. It's the time to prepare for the most spectacular second act. If the 90s had an official American sweetheart, it would undoubtedly be Jennifer Love Hewitt. She was everywhere. With her sensitive portrayal of Sarah Reeves in Party of Five, she won the hearts of TV audiences. But it was 1997 that truly cemented her as an icon. I Know What You Did. Last summer elevated her to the ranks of the Scream Queens. She was the perfect blend of innocent vulnerability and the resilience of the final girl. She didn't stop at acting. She also released pop music albums, with the single How Do I Deal becoming a hit among young audiences. She was a versatile force embodying the upbeat, vibrant energy of the late 90s. She was lovable, approachable, and undeniably captivating. She balanced starring in teen romantic comedies like Can't Hardly Wait with running from serial killers, and somehow she made it all seem completely convincing. After the 90s ended, Jennifer didn't slow down. She immediately transitioned to one of her most successful roles, Melinda Gordon, in Ghost Whisperer. The show ran for 5 seasons and solidified her status as a reliable television star. Next came The Client List, a bolder series that showcased a different side of her. She was a tireless worker, a professional who consistently delivered results. But behind that steady career, the pressure of being Jennifer Love Hewitt was immense. She grew up in front of the camera, and both her body and love life were constantly scrutinized by the tabloids. She openly discussed the challenges of dealing with the constant pressure of appearance, a relentless burden for young actresses. So after decades of tireless work, she made a change. She married actor Brian Hallisey, her co-star in The Client List, and prioritized building her family. In the years that followed, she took a significant step back from the spotlight. It was a conscious choice to focus on motherhood and rediscover a sense of normalcy. Her return to mainstream television once again showcased her career savvy. She joined the cast of Ryan Murphy's hit series 911 as Maddie Buckley, a former nurse, who becomes a 911 dispatcher. The role was perfect for her. It allowed her to portray empathy, strength, and maturity. She was no longer the girl running from danger. She was the calm voice on the other end of the line, guiding others through crisis. Today, Jennifer Love Hewitt is a mother of three, a respected actress, and a mental health advocate, often sharing the ups and downs of life on social media with honesty. She has found something rare in Hollywood balance. She has evolved from a teen icon into a mature woman who has chosen sustainability over glamour, proving that real life is the most important role of all. One name, one image. Sidney Prescott. For anyone who grew up in the 90s, Neve Campbell was not just a horror actress. She was the final girl. The Scream franchise redefined the entire genre, and Neve was its resilient heart. She wasn't a passive victim. She was smart, she fought, and she always survived. At the same time, she was also Julia Salinger, the introspective, mature older sister in Party of Five, and a powerful witch in The Craft. Neve Campbell is the embodiment of a quiet strength, a smart sorrow that is characteristic of Generation X. What many fans may not realize is that Hollywood was not her original plan. Neve was a trained ballet dancer. She studied at the prestigious National Ballet School of Canada. That discipline, the strictness, the precision, the ability to endure pain shaped every one of her performances. There's a grace and control in the way she moves, even when running from Ghostface. But it was that discipline that also gave her the strength to step away. After the massive success of Scream 3 and the end of Party of Five, Neve did what few stars at the peak of their careers dare to do. She left Los Angeles. She moved to London, England. She was tired of being typecast. She didn't want her life to be defined solely by Sidney Prescott. In London, she worked on stage, participating in West End plays. She took on small, independent films projects she was genuinely passionate about, even if they didn't bring the fame or money that big blockbuster films did. It was an act of self-preservation. She chose art over fame. For many years, American audiences wondered, what happened to Neve Campbell? The answer was she was living her life pursuing her passions and refusing to be swallowed up by Hollywood. Her return to mainstream success came slowly on her own terms. She appeared in House of Cards, showcasing her calmness and intelligence. And then, of course, she returned to Scream. But this was no longer the Neve of the 90s. When she returned in Scream 2022, it was a more mature Sidney, a mother, a battle-worn warrior. And then she proved her strength once again. When invited to join Scream 6, she declined. The reason: the offer didn't reflect her true value to the franchise. In an industry that often underpays women, especially iconic veterans, this was a bold and public stance. She knew her worth. The girl has finally become the ultimate negotiator, and that stance paid off as she was confirmed to return for Scream 7 with a better deal. Today, Neve Campbell is an icon of integrity. She stars in the successful Netflix series The Lincoln Lawyer, continuing to deliver smart, nuanced performances. She has proven that survival isn't just about making it through a horror film. It's about navigating a ruthless industry with grace, intelligence, and an unshakable sense of self-worth. In the temple of 90s icons, one name stands tall holding a wooden stake: Sarah Michelle Gellar. With her role as Buffy the Vampire Slayer, she didn't just play a character, she led a cultural revolution. Buffy was smart, witty, strong, but also vulnerable and deeply flawed. She redefined what it meant to be a female hero for an entire generation, proving that feminine strength is a hymn of power. Gellar was a workhorse. Alongside her grueling Buffy shooting schedule, she also starred in blockbuster films like I Know What You Did Last Summer, and perhaps most iconically, her role as the cunning Catherine Merteuil in Cruel Intentions. She could seamlessly shift from being the heroine saving the world to a seductive villain without missing a beat. Prior to that, she was a daytime TV star, winning an Emmy for her role in All My Children. Her discipline and work ethic are legendary. But when Buffy ended in 2003, Gellar faced a classic dilemma: the curse of the iconic role. She tried to transition to the big screen with Scooby-Doo and The Grudge, both of which were commercially successful, but critics and audiences seemed unable to see her as anything other than Buffy. Later television projects like Ringer and The Crazy Ones tried but couldn't recapture that same magic. And then, like many of her peers, she seemed to step back. She married 90s icon Freddie Prinze Jr., and they focused on raising their children, a conscious decision to create the stability they both craved after growing up in the industry. For years, her main work was voice acting for animated shows like Star Wars Rebels. But behind the scenes, Sarah Michelle Gellar was preparing for her biggest change yet. She wasn't just an actress. She was a savvy businesswoman with an eye for the market. In 2015, she co-founded Foodsters, a startup brand focused on organic, non-GMO baking kits. This wasn't a vanity project. It was a real business. Gellar became an entrepreneur, appearing in business magazines, raising venture capital, and building a brand from the ground up. The Slayer had become a CEO. She applied the same hard work and determination that defined Buffy to the world of business. She found a new way to empower this time for families in the kitchen. In recent years, she has carefully returned to acting, but on her own terms. She stars in and serves as an executive producer for the series Wolfpack, showing that she now cares just as much about controlling the story behind the camera as she does in front of it. Today, Sarah Michelle Gellar is a role model for evolution. She has taught us that true strength isn't about fighting monsters, but having the courage to rewrite the rules for yourself and build a purposeful life, even if that means trading in the wooden stakes for a different kind of weapon. Do you agree with this perspective? Comment 1 if you agree, or 0 if you don't. We'd love to read and understand your perspectives. Please enjoy the video, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support us. Hit that notification bell too, so you'll be the first to see the next episodes. Your support is priceless motivation for us to keep going. There was an almost otherworldly, ethereal beauty to Liv Tyler in the 90s. Whether she was the rebellious girl in the record store in Empire Records, the innocent beauty in Stealing Beauty, or the emotionally charged Heart of Armageddon, she exuded a tenderness, a dreamlike quality. And of course, she was the star of Aerosmith's music videos for Crazy and crying videos that defined the style of an entire era. She was the ultimate romantic muse, a quiet yet deeply emotional presence. But her real-life story is even more complicated than any script. For much of her childhood, Liv believed her father was musician Todd Rundgren. It wasn't until she was 11 years old that she discovered the shocking truth. Her biological father was Steven Tyler, the legendary frontman of Aerosmith. This revelation was life-changing, reshaping her entire sense of identity. The truth explained her undeniable connection to rock music, but it also set her on a unique and complex trajectory of fame. Her career in the 90s was marked by interesting choices transitioning between indie art films and big-budget blockbusters. But the role that defined the next decade of her career came in 2001 Arwen Undomiel in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. This role elevated her ethereal status to legendary heights. She was a fairy-like figure, almost not belonging to this world. However, after the global success of The Lord of the Rings, Liv Tyler didn't chase the path of becoming an action star or a romantic comedy queen. Like many of her peers, she chose a quieter path. She took a break to focus on motherhood. When she returned, she selected roles based on the depth of the character rather than the size of the project. One of her finest performances came in the critically acclaimed HBO series, The Leftovers. Her portrayal of Meg Abbott was a brilliant subversion of her image. She played a woman who gives up everything, her family, her career, even her voice, to join a nihilistic cult. It was a raw, unsettling, and utterly brilliant performance. It revealed the depth and darkness she has always carried beneath her angelic appearance. She went on to take roles in Harlots and 911 Lone Star, demonstrating her willingness to work in long-running television projects, something that film stars typically shy away from. She has lived in London for many years, raising her family and leading a life largely removed from the prying eyes of Hollywood's tabloids. Today, Liv Tyler still retains that charm, but it has been tempered by experience. That beauty is no longer fragile, it is strong, wise, and purposeful. She has evolved from a muse into a woman who commands her own story. She has shown that true grace doesn't come from otherworldly perfection, but from embracing the messy complexities of a real life. Drew. Drew Barrymore's story is not a simple one from the 90s. It's an epic saga of Hollywood. She was part of Hollywood royalty, melting our hearts in E.T. as a child, only to face the darkest corners of fame, addiction, rehab, and liberation from her parents, all before she turned 15. For most people, that would be the end. For Drew, it was just Act 1. The 90s were her great comeback. She stood up on her own, founding her own production company, Flower Films, in 1995. This was a revolutionary move. In her 20s, she wasn't just waiting for roles, she was creating them. She became the muse of the romantic comedy genre, but with a twist. She wasn't the perfect girl, she was the awkward, lovable, real girl. From The Wedding Singer to Never Been Kissed, she brought a warmth and authenticity that redefined the genre. With Flower Films, she became a powerful producer. Not only did she star in Charlie's Angels 2000, but she also produced it, transforming an old TV show into a global blockbuster that celebrated the power of women. She reclaimed control not just over her life, but also her career, turning herself from a cautionary tale into an inspiring success story. She produced Donnie Darko, an indie film that became a cult classic. She has an eye for talent and the courage to take risks. After dominating the early 2000s, Drew once again shifted her focus. She ventured into directing with the critically acclaimed film Whip It. She got married, had children, and like many others, took a step back from acting to focus on her family. But a mind like Drew's never truly rests. She launched Flower Beauty, an affordable, high-quality cosmetics line, followed by Flower Home. She built a lifestyle brand based on her own philosophy, fun authenticity, and approachability. And then in 2020, she began the next chapter, perhaps the most authentic of all, The Drew Barrymore Show. In a world of glamorous daytime talk shows, Drew's program stood apart. It was charmingly chaotic, so sincere that it was unwavering and filled with empathy. She cried with her guests, lay on the floor, and openly shared her insecurities. She turned her vulnerability into a superpower. Today, Drew Barrymore is not just an actress or a producer. She is a media mogul, a symbol of optimism, and a living testament to the power of second chances and fourth ones. The girl who once battled Hollywood's demons is now using her platform to spread light. Her evolution is a reminder that our scars don't define us. They are proof of our strength to heal and rise again. When Friends premiered in 1994, Courtney Cox was the most famous member of the cast, known for her role in Bruce Springsteen's Dancing in the Dark music video and her part on Family Ties. She was initially auditioning for Rachel Green, but was drawn to Monica Geller instead. She wanted to play the perfectionist, the organizer, the warm, anxious heart of the group, and she turned Monica into an icon. But Courtney did something few actors ever manage. She dominated two genres at once. Just 2 years after Friends began, she played Gale Weathers, the ambitious, ruthless news reporter in Scream. It was a perfect performance. She was funny, sharp, and completely different from Monica. Throughout the rest of the 90s and early 2000s, she skillfully balanced being America's favorite sitcom star and a horror movie icon. After Friends ended in 2004, her transition was perhaps the most challenging among the main cast members. She tried with Dirt, a dark TV show about a tabloid editor, but it didn't succeed. Then she found steady success with Cougar Town. Despite the somewhat controversial title, the show ran for 6 seasons and showcased her excellent comedic skills. But more importantly, like Drew, Courtney quietly transitioned into producing. She and her then-husband, David Arquette, founded the production company Coquette Productions, producing Cougar Town and other projects. She also began directing episodes of the show, honing a new skill. However, in the years after Friends, Courtney faced another battle, one that many women in Hollywood contend with: the pressure of aging in front of the camera. She openly admitted to using fillers and Botox in an effort to chase youth. "I didn't realize how weird I looked," she later confessed. Her rebirth in recent years has come from a place of complete acceptance. She publicly stated that she had removed all her fillers, embraced her natural face, and is aging gracefully. This honesty has made fans love her even more. Today, Courtney Cox is experiencing a renaissance. She returned to the role of Gale Weathers in the new Scream films, reminding us why we admire her resilience. But her biggest presence is on social media. Her Instagram is a treasure trove of humor, where she pokes fun at her Monica image, plays the piano, and reveals a silly, authentic side of herself. She also has a home care line home court. Courtney Cox has evolved from a fictional perfectionist to a real woman who found confidence by letting go of perfection. She no longer tries to control everything. She simply enjoys life, and she's funnier than ever. She's learned to love herself more, embrace the imperfections, and face challenges with a smile. Courtney is not only a symbol of resilience, but also a testament to the power of freedom that comes from letting go of unrealistic expectations to live authentically. Claire Danes is a different kind of case. She wasn't the prom queen or the girl next door. She was an artist. In 1994, at just 15, she delivered one of the most authentic teen performances of all time as Angela Chase in My So-Called Life. The show lasted only one season, but its impact was everlasting. She captured the pain, confusion, and intense longing of adolescence. My So-Called Life became a cultural milestone with Claire at its heart. Immediately, she transitioned to film, playing Juliet opposite Leonardo DiCaprio in Baz Luhrmann's Romeo plus Juliet, and starring in Little Women and The Rainmaker. She had an intelligence and emotional depth rare in such a young actress. She wasn't just a star, she was a prodigy. And then at the height of her fame, she did the unthinkable. She hit pause. She was accepted into Yale University. Like Kerry Russell and Neve Campbell, she chose a different path. She enrolled in psychology, craving education and a normal life. She spent 2 years at Yale before deciding to return to acting full-time. That decision shaped the rest of her career. She wasn't interested in becoming the biggest movie star. She cared about the craft of acting. She returned to independent films and theater, honing her skills and taking on complex characters. She won an Emmy for her performance in HBO's Temple Grandin, a transformative portrayal. But her true renaissance, the return that placed her in the Temple of Great Actors, came in 2011. That was the role of Carrie Mathison in Homeland. Over 8 seasons, Claire Danes delivered a masterful performance. Carrie was a brilliant CIA agent, but she also struggled with bipolar disorder. She was brilliant, unstable, obsessive, and utterly captivating. It was one of the most demanding roles ever written for television, and Danes fully embodied it. Her crying face became a meme, but those who truly followed knew they were witnessing a master at work. She won multiple Emmys and Golden Globes for this role. Angela Chase, the teenage girl trying to figure out who she was, completely disappeared. In her place was a woman grappling with the weight of the world with her own mind. Today, Claire Danes is one of the most respected dramatic actresses of her generation. She continues to choose challenging projects like Fleischman is in Trouble. She has evolved from a teenage prodigy into a true expert, an actress with incredible control and the courage to delve into the darkest emotional places. She has proven that true talent doesn't fade with the decades. It only becomes deeper, more complex, and more powerful. From teen icons to entrepreneurs, directors, and masterful actors, their journeys are truly remarkable. They've shown that change isn't the end, but an evolution. They've bravely stepped out of their own shadows to write a brilliant second chapter for their lives. Whose story inspires you the most? Did we miss any 90s stars who had an impressive transformation that you'd like to see? Leave your comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support us. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.